Today on the news and why it matters, is Hillary okay? Oh, got a lot to get into, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Philadelphia Eagles fan Stu Bergier.
Happy National Green Sweater Day, everybody.
Thank you. I'm wearing a pink sweater, though.
You don't have to celebrate.
I get the memo.
We respect choices here at the Blaze.
I look at my email every day. So.
Aaron Colin from theblaze.com and Rob Eno, Blaze media critic. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We got a lot to get into. First, we want to thank our sponsor, American Financing, which should be your go-to financing place if you've got a home loan, you're looking for a new home because you're like, hey, interest rates are really great right now and I need a new house. If you're refi.
What if you wanted to finance an entire defensive roster of an NFL team? Would you do that through American Financing?
Yes.
I'm in the market here.
Yes,
so, okay.
Yes, you could also do that. Whatever the case may be, whatever you need the loan for, American Financing is where you want to go. They have salary-based professionals, not commission-based people who are like, okay, which of these deals is going to get me the biggest kickback from this institution? Yeah, that's the one I want to do for these people. No, that's not who American Financing is. So if you're in the market for any of those things, suggest you check them out. They will walk you through everything. I know Stu did business with them not too long ago, and they walked him through all of his stupid questions, and he had a lot of them.
I have a lot of them on almost everything, but they specifically were on the finance stuff. Yeah.
So you can go to AmericanFinancing.net or you can call 800-906-2440. That is AmericanFinancing.net. So Hillary Clinton. It's been an interesting couple months for Hillary Clinton. She's been making the rounds, doing the interviews with Chelsea, I guess, because she has a new book. So she was interviewed, when was this, over the weekend or Friday? And, okay, October 17th, thank you, Control, but I don't know what day that was of the week. But so she said something very interesting about fellow Democrat Tulsi Gabbard. Watch.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
Who knew? This is shocking.
Yeah.
I had no idea that we already knew that Tulsi Gabbard was a Russian asset. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people are saying this is a conspiracy theory, and it's not. It's two conspiracy theories. It's that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset and Jill Stein is a Russian asset. Neither one of those have any evidence whatsoever to support them. You think that someone who actually was very, very close, remember 40,000 people switch their vote from one way to the other. We have a President Hillary Clinton if it happens in the right states. She's very close to winning the White House and almost, probably could have won it in 2008 if she wasn't such a terrible candidate. And here she is, a conspiracy theorist. And, maybe we should have picked this up when she went on the air and talked about a vast right-wing conspiracy. But this is not the first time. These are multiple conspiracy theorists over a long period of time, and she is essentially just a left-wing Alex Jones. Which also Alex Jones is a left-wing Alex Jones. It's a totally different story that we can talk about later. But this is not a situation where this is out of character for her. This is where she jumps. And as a person who went through a devastating defeat and flopping on her face in front of all of America, and if you think about it from her situation, it really is a difficult thing she went through. Her friends, everyone around her, thinks the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of the United States happened because she sucked at what she was trying to do.
Trying to make Hillary Clinton a sympathetic figure here?
I know, it's hard for me to get on board with that.
I know, it does not make me feel bad for her. It does not excuse her actions. But if you think about, she has, I think, no choice as a human being other than to try to find conspiracy theories as to why she lost. Because other than that, she's basically saying she herself, by her incompetence, ruined the country. That is the view of her and every one of her friends. So it's a tough place to be. I'm not surprised she reaches for conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Where did Jill Stein come from in this, first of all? I don't really know how she got into the equation. And also, I mean, Russian bots, they do a lot of stuff. Does that make you a Russian asset because some Russian bots are tweeting about you?
I don't think we can control what the Russian bots do.
I didn't think that Tulsi Gabbard had control over the Russian bots, but apparently...
She would be a Russian asset if she did that.
Yeah.
Controlled by it. To Jill Stein point, I mean, I grew up in Massachusetts, right? So from almost my entire adult life, Jill Stein has been running for an office as a Green Party candidate. So the Russians groomed her really low when she ran for like treasurer of Massachusetts and lieutenant governor of Massachusetts and governor of Massachusetts. And then she tried to run for Congress and some other things. So they started low. It's a long game, apparently. But to your point about Hillary Clinton, it's absolutely right? I mean, she needs to internalize something that's not her. That she did not win because it's got to be something than her. And the media has been harping on Russian collusion this entire time. I'm just concerned for Tulsi Gabbard because Tulsi Gabbard fought back, and fighting back against the Clintons does not always end well. So I am just, I actually, when I saw Tulsi fight back, I wanted her to say at some point in time that, you know, she didn't want to be suicided, but, you know, we'll see what happens.
She did fight back. She came out and released a video shortly after Hillary Clinton's comments were made. Here is what Tulsi had to say.
I am not afraid to openly express my love for our country. But if they can falsely portray me as a traitor, then they can do it to anyone. And in fact, that's exactly the message that they want to get across to you. That if you stand up against Hillary and the party power brokers, if you stand up to the rich and powerful elite and the war machine, they will destroy you and discredit your message. But here is the truth. They will not intimidate us. They will not silence us. We are not here just to protest their corruption. I am running for president to take the Democratic Party and our country back from the corrupt elite.
All right, I want to get into the substance of this, but can we just get out of the way? Girl looks great in white, but she's turning into the female version of Beto. You got to wear something else every once in a while. I have not seen her not in white in like the last, 3 debates, and now she's doing the videos in white. We get it. You look great in white, but just find another color every once in a while is my advice as the sitting fashion expert on the show.
You're not getting this from the other networks, this sort of analysis. That's not happening.
Hard-hitting analysis here. Stu, what are your thoughts on her comments? She's not wrong.
First of all, she's totally right, and it's you know, she's got some out there views on stuff, on a lot of things. However, she comes off as much more sensible than Hillary Clinton. And she's a serious person. I think that's one of the reasons why people gravitate to her that might not normally even consider a Democrat. You know, Glenn's point today was if she ran as a third-party candidate, who is she pulling from? I think she's probably pulling from Trump voters. You know, there's a lot.
Both,
maybe both, but I think maybe his theory was in excess. It would be Trump voters because you know you see. Obviously, she's running in the primary. She's getting 2 or 3%, but there's a lot of interest on her from the right. My theory on that is kind of that she's the most sane-looking one out of that group a lot of times. So that could just be, you know, if she actually ran as a third-party candidate, maybe she wouldn't get too much love. But stepping back from that, this is a situation that's gone on for a while between Hillary and Tulsi. And that Tulsi was one of the first co-chairs of the DNC to step down and endorse Bernie Sanders, and one of the first people who came out and said, hey, the DNC has his finger on the scale for Hillary over Bernie, and that's not fair and that's not right. So she's hated Tulsi for a long time.
For being what seems to be morally sound.
Right, morally sound and correct, again, on both of these counts. I mean, she wasn't lying. She wasn't making it up. We all found out about this stuff later on. Not that I think Hillary was going to lose anyway. I think she was going to win the election anyway, and she won by multiple millions of votes. It wasn't all that close with Bernie. It was just closer than it should have been. But, you know, I mean, I think Gabbard here has the high ground. I mean, and to the extent, which is bizarre, is that you see the media, you see a lot of Democrats siding with Gabbard. It shows how worthless Hillary Clinton is to them now. They have no use for her anymore. They're all pissed off at her for losing in 2016. They don't want to see her face. They want her to go away, stop writing your stupid books, leave us alone. That's what they want.
Aaron, do
This
you
might
agree?
be the best thing that's happened to Gabbard. I mean, what she had 1-2% in the polls. This gives her a relevance. I mean, we're talking about a rivalry between somebody who's not running and somebody who's at 1%. It's fun, but it's not really relevant to anything that's happening. So it's nothing but good for Tulsi. So good for her, I guess.
That's a great point. Unintended consequences might backfire. What do you think, Rob?
Because I value my life, Hillary, I just want you to know that that's exactly what a Russian asset would say, that she's not a Russian asset. But no, seriously, I think to Glenn's point, to your point, the whole we're going after the corrupt, powerful elite, that's why Donald Trump won the election, is that he was going against the corrupt, powerful elite. And I think it does pull, it might not pull the Republicans, but it might pull some of those lunch pail Democrats that see the coastal elites as not being in with their favor. But, you know, don't forget, Tulsi's like a closet socialist, too. I mean, she's been pictured with Antifa members. I mean, she's not...
endorsed Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, with Bernie Sanders. Yeah, I mean, it's... You know, who speaking of Russian assets who vacation, you know, who takes their honeymoon to the Soviet Union?
Yes.
Bernie Sanders, you know, is the answer to that question. But yeah, I mean, it's she is a complete far leftist. She doesn't even come close. But she's anti-war, and I think that as having served, she's an anti-war person. And I think that's where the Republican Party is going after a long time, is going to a more isolationist, its original viewpoint. Of the Republican Party, and I think that people are sick of never-ending wars, and I think that's where she gets some.
That's definitely where I think the alignment is with Tulsi. I mean, but you know, she's not making a huge impact, but she's got a kind of an oddball set of views. Honestly, like it doesn't really cleanly fit into the Democratic Party, and it doesn't really cleanly at all fit into the Republican Party. But she's got a good presentation. She's a serious person, and you know, anytime you're on the opposite side of Hillary Clinton, people are going to like you.
Well, poor Jill Stein. Jill Stein was like, wait a second, how did I get into this? I didn't have anything to do with this. Here's Jill Stein on CNN responding to Hillary Clinton's comments. Watch.
Are you a Russian spy?
No, I am not a Russian spy. I think this is a completely unhinged conspiracy theory for which there is absolutely no basis in fact, not for myself and not for Tulsi Gabbard. I think it's really outrageous that Hillary Clinton is trying to promote this crazy idea. You know, you can't just slander people. You have to present some basis in fact. Tulsi has said that she is dedicated to running as a Democrat, and she has been for her whole life, so that's pretty believable. I am not running for office. Somehow Hillary Clinton didn't do her Google research, or she would know that I am not running. So it's preposterous to say if I will give it up. You know, this is just it's a wild and insulting theory, and I think it speaks to Hillary's need to try to explain, perhaps to herself, you know, why her campaign was not successful.
When you've got Jill Stein calling you a conspiracy theorist.
That is your way down the road there, because Jill herself has all sorts of battles in that particular arena. This is typical of candidates, though. Whenever they lose, they blame it on the third-party candidate. It's not the third-party candidate's fault. It's your job to win these votes. It's your job. They're not yours, and then you're losing them to the Green Party candidate. They are votes that you, as a candidate, have to win. The person who's voting gets to choose who they vote for. It's not your possession that they're taking from you. That's not the way that works. And these candidates continually look at that the opposite way. Who knows if any of these people that voted for Jill Stein would have actually voted for Hillary. They may have just stayed home. They usually do. People who are going to go that way don't get too excited about the two-party system. And a lot of times they just won't vote at all. So it is a typical sort of bailout strategy for a candidate that lost. They did this, they pitted on Ralph Nader back in the day. And it would the same way. I mean, Ralph Nader has the right to run. This is America.
Yeah. Before we move on from Hillary, so Hillary thought herself to be quite the comedian over the weekend. She tweeted out kind of a mockery of President Trump's letter to the president of Turkey, Erdogan. And, you know, it's like, don't be a jerk, okay? Get your missiles out of Cuba. Everybody will say, yay, you're the best. But if you don't, everybody will be like, I don't know why that's not censored. And call your garbage country the Soviet Bunyan. You're really busting my hump here. And she thought she was very, very funny. She said, found in the archives. And that's just left it on Twitter. Oh, well, it turns out someone else gave that joke first. It was Jimmy Kimmel. Watch.
It's funny because on this very date, October 16th, 57 years ago,
the Cuban Missile Crisis started. And this letter from Trump is eerily similar to a letter JFK sent Khrushchev when we found out the Soviets were putting nukes in Cuba. He wrote at that time, "Dear Premier Khrushchev, don't be a okay? Get your missiles out of Cuba. Everybody will say, yay, Khrushchev, you're the best. But if you don't, everybody will be like, what an a-hole, and call your garbage country the Soviet Bunyan. You're really busting my nuts here. Give you a jingle later. Hugs, Johnson, Cheryl Kennedy." So I don't know, maybe Trump is one of the greats.
Okay, so that was supposed to be Kennedy. But how's she going to just rip that off word for word and not even give credit to the comedian who came up with it? That's pretty bad.
Not only did she rip it off word for word, she didn't even use his picture.
Yeah.
He censored the two words.
I know, that's why I was like, wait a second, that one's censored.
She censored the two words or uncensored the two words that he did censor. It's just,
maybe they posted a different version online.
Yeah, maybe
that she took. I mean,
But she could have, but if they did, that would make it even worse, because then why wouldn't she have just retweeted it? Like if they had just posted it on Twitter, she could have done the quote retweet instead of saving it and posting it as her own, right?
definitely breaking all sorts of Twitter etiquette rules here. Not to mention, like, I mean, that's just basically stealing material. But again, I think maybe the bigger question here is, why the hell is Hillary Clinton tweeting jokes? Like, okay, when you're running a campaign, I could at least, okay, you're trying to relate to the people in a totally robotic way. What is she doing? Go away.
Do we think that she's tweeting these jokes, or that her
just one of her
intern is
people,
doing it?
maybe.
So thoughts and prayers to the intern who stole that joke and backfired on, because he might be in trouble. He or she might be in trouble.
Jokes about them murdering people. It's just like, you just can't help yourself.
Oh, it's a joke to you.
I'm alive, though.
Until, all right, back in a minute. Before we get back into the conversation, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So unfortunately, Relief Factor does not work when you are dealing with pain from a really bad football loss the previous night.
Well, I'm willing to try it. Well, let's see.
But it is there for millions of Americans who just struggle with constant pain. Maybe you're just getting up there in age. Maybe you have had some sort of, injury. Maybe you were in the military and your joints just don't work like they used to anymore. You got to try Relief Factor. They have a 3-week quick start pack that you can get for $19.95. And 70% of the people who try that go on to keep ordering more. So it's working for that many people. It's worked for me. It's worked for so many of us here at the studios. It can work for you. And here's the thing. If it does, it changes your life. Because I know what it's like to be in pain. You just walk around, you're grumpy all the time, you're snapping at your spouse because you're just in pain. It doesn't have to be that way. You got to go to relieffactor.com, get that quick start pack for $19.95, or you can call 800-500-8384. That is relieffactor.com. So for some reason, the mainstream media keeps interviewing Robert Francis O'Rourke. I am not entirely sure why, because he's polling at like -2. But he keeps on going on television and saying all sorts of crazy stuff. This time, it was, again, he's doubling down on comparing President Trump to Hitler. Watch.
President Trump, perhaps inspired by Goebbels and the propagandists of the Third Reich, seemed to employ this tactic that the bigger the lie, the more obscene the injustice, the more dizzying the pace of this bizarre behavior, the less likely we are to be able to do something about it.
Did I hear you correctly say that perhaps he was influenced by Goebbels and the Third Reich in terms of telling a big lie? I just want to make sure that's what I heard you say.
That's right. There is so much that is resonant of the Third Reich in this administration, whether it is attempting to ban all people of one religion and saying that Muslims are somehow inherently dangerous or defective or disqualified. Outside of Nazi Germany, it's hard for me to find another modern democracy that had the audacity to say something like this.
Al Sharpton's trying to give him the out.
Gave him the exit ramp.
Are you sure you want to stand by that?
No, I think Al Sharpton's like, I'm about to go viral. My show's going to get some hits. Are you sure you just used the Nazi thing? 'Cause let's go.
I had absolutely no idea he had a show.
I think it's once a week.
It's
once a week, because he
Just a
used to have
once-a-week
one
thing on
like
the
back in the
weekend.
day.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Is he like
on the
after AM
weekend.
Joy? Is it like the AM Joy, Al Sharpton block?
Oh my God, he's hilarious. The guy, he doesn't speak normally.
No.
Like he's a very strange, like sing-songy pattern that he does. Hillary has a weird sing-songy pattern too. That's another story.
Does she?
She does. Like we
never
were
noticed
watching some old clips of her doing speeches. When she gives speeches, she's very this weird like sing-songy thing. It comes off as very inauthentic,
Yeah.
which is why everyone couldn't stand her. But on Beto, I mean, obviously he's just flailing and desperate, and he's trying anything. He's doing an interview on probably the channel that hosts his next job, MSNBC. He's really, I mean, it's over for him, and he probably knows it. But it's just amazing that these guys can just say this. I mean, a lot of things that are reminiscent of the Third Reich. Like, is there a worse thing you could say about any human being? I mean, it's like the worst possible thing, and they just say it and get away with it, and nobody seems to bother.
Yeah, I seem to not recall, Aaron, Trump ever saying that Muslims were defective.
Well, I mean, you need to pay attention more.
Really?
It's out there,
I
right?
missed it. I guess I missed it.
No, it used to be kind of funny to watch Beto do this because it was like, wow, this is crazy stuff he's saying. But now it's like every day, and it doesn't even have any impact. It's just getting tiring, and it'll be nice to see him drop out. I don't know. He might have enough money to make it to the end of this thing. But whether it's on guns or abortion or Nazis, I mean, he just goes to the furthest extreme to get on TV and, you know, get us to talk about him a little bit, I guess. And that's his only goal. He has no chance to win, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beto, sorry, I can't say Beto. Bob Frank is late to the party. There have been Democrats saying this about Trump and Republicans forever. I was telling you before the show, back in 2017, I did like a whole top 10 times that Republicans were called Hitler. You know, they had the MoveOn.org had submissions that were Bush's Hitler. And then when I was looking at that, the one that's always been funny to me, and the Boston Globe has now swiped it off of the internet, is back in February of 2017, much like this was to Goebbels, a writer at the Boston Globe submitted an op-ed, and they published it saying that Trump's signature looked like Heinrich Himmler's. Like literally, that was something that got ink and press in the Boston Globes, and then it's absolutely crazy.
I want to correct you. I think you meant to say Goebbels.
Goebbels, Goebbels, like gerbils. He says Goebbels like gerbils.
Yeah,
He
there
did
is
say it really weird.
Goebbels. There is the both. I've seen both pronunciations.
Yeah.
Can I do one of my most annoying historical things though here?
Please.
Because Beto did it there, or excuse me, Bob Frank did it there. The Hitler big lie thing. You know, the bigger the lie, the more easier it is to believe. People act as if Hitler said that. So telling everyone the story about how he was lying about all the Jews, and this is how he won people over. That is not how he said it at all. Now again, Hitler's the worst person who's ever lived, so keep this in context here, but he was saying that about the Jews. He was saying that's what Jews did. This is not something you want to quote. It is an anti-Semitic trope where he's saying Jews are lying all the time, and you shouldn't believe them, and the things they say, like they're not running the world, is the biggest lie of all, and that's why people will believe it. So it was not him like saying, you know what, I have a good strategy in which I'm going to lie very large and then people are going to go along with it. It's actually the opposite. Hitler said that to describe the Jews. It's a terrible, terrible anti-Semitic thing, and people constantly quote it in that context. It should not be used in that context. But of course, we're talking Bob Frank here. Right. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
He's so terrible, he makes Stu have to explain Hitler's words and sort of clarify for Hitler. That's
He's so terrible, he makes Stu a Hitler apologist.
I'm excited for Media Matters tomorrow. Media Matters, Stu Brigade.
I'm going to send them in the clip. I'm going to send them in the clip.
Apologize.
Okay, how badly do you guys think that the Democratic Party wants him out? Like, just shut up. Stop talking, stop going on CNN and telling them what we're really planning on doing with guns. Like, please just shut up.
They need to shrink these debates and get him out of there.
He's not going to make the next one. I mean, his polling, I don't think he has a chance of making the next one. He's going to miss it because of the polling requirements. I did a segment on this on Friday on radio, and it's like, this is one of the most spectacular collapses we've ever seen. I mean, you know, this is Enron level collapse. He's not only taking himself out, he's taking the economy out with him. He's taking the Democratic Party out because now they're all forced to admit about things about gun confiscation and taking, you know, tax deductions away from churches. All these things that the Democrats don't want to talk about, he keeps pointing a flashlight at, and that's not good for the Democrats.
Yeah. All right, back in a minute.
Just be clear, it was not Hitler apologist.
You already said it.
No, but I
I
was clear. I said it is. Jesus, big difference.
If you have not yet gotten your tickets to the M1 Ball, it is taking place this weekend. It is Saturday. There's going to be drinks and food and music. and a really good time, live and silent auctions. Someone, I don't know if they're going to be not at the ball or at the ball, but someone who has entered in the Mercedes-Benz raffle is going to win a brand new Mercedes-Benz. And tickets for that, it's only $100. $100 a ticket. So could you imagine, guys, new Mercedes-Benz for $100? You can't beat it. You got to go to mercury1.org/M1ball. Find out all the details there. Glenn's going to be there. Tanya's going to be there. I'm going to be there. So many of us are going to be there. We hope to see you there.